This week, a subway conductor slashed in the neck.
We're not protected like uniform officers. We don't have a gun. We don't have any way to protect ourselves.
And a bodega worker senselessly killed.
It could be my son. It could be my brother.
Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are some of the crimes from across the 5 boroughs. We begin this week in Brooklyn, where a conductor is slashed in the neck while leaning out of the subway cabin.
Police say the conductor was assaulted at the Rockaway Ave station in Bed-Stuy while making routine observations from the cab window. This comes as the MTA is working on a new pilot program to better protect conductors.
Antoine Lewis joins us live. And Antoine, you actually talked to members of the transit union who say they feel like they're being targeted.
That's correct, Natasha. Good evening to you, Steve, and everyone else. The MTA also just announcing literally within the last few minutes that they are in the process right now of installing cameras inside the conductor's cabin, which is certainly welcome news given the events of earlier today.
59-year-old Alton Scott is lucky to be alive, a fact not lost on members of the Transit Workers Union Local 100.
About a split half an inch would have cut a vein in his neck and he was dead.
Scott was the conductor on a southbound A train at the Rockaway Avenue station in Brooklyn when police say he was brutally attacked just after 3:30 early Thursday morning, slashed in the neck when he leaned his head outside of the train window.
We're not protected like uniform officers. We don't have a gun. We don't have any way to protect ourselves.
MTA officials say Scott made a frantic announcement over the train's PA system asking for help. A doctor happened to be on the train at the time.
A number of customers came to his aid, one of which was a doctor who physically provided assistance applying a compress and treated him on the scene until EMS arrived.
Officials say the perpetrator took off, and it appears there's no connection between the conductor and the perp, which some experts say may explain why the victim was slashed as opposed to being stabbed. Psychologist Dr. N.G. Burrell is executive director of New York Forensic.
Someone who typically is stabbing someone is usually involved in an aggressive encounter where they're angry at that person. There is a more personal, intimate quality to the violence, but slashing is really kind of reflective of impulse rage.
Scott is a 24-year veteran of the MTA. Officials say he received 34 stitches to the deepest part of the wound and 9 additional sutures just to close it.
We are confident that NYPD will catch this assailant, catch this perpetrator, catch this cowardly criminal.
And as you come back to us live, Steve and Natasha, we also are happy to report that the conductor is home recovering from what the union told us. And the MTA also confirming that there were working cameras inside the station that Roy Picorni is giving you a look at right now, which will certainly help them, because we also spoke to the police who said that they are in the process of reviewing all of that as, again, they try to find the suspect.
Staying in Brooklyn, police are searching for the suspect in the senseless shooting death of a bodega clerk.
Police are still looking for the man accused of shooting and killing a bodega clerk in Brooklyn.
And this comes as concerns grow over bodega safety, especially when it comes to repeat offenders.
Fox 5's Michelle Ross is in Crown Heights with more.
Distressed over her son's murder, it's difficult to stand for Nazim Berry's mother. The 37-year-old bodega worker was shot in the head and killed by a customer on Monday at Amin Deli in Crown Heights during a dispute over a black and mild cigar.
Nazim was not only a bodega clerk. He worked every day to help support his mother and his brothers and his siblings.
After a GoFundMe campaign raised less than $1,000, Bronx-based company ProHealth and the United Bodegas of America wrote an $8,000 check to his family to help cover funeral costs. Delia Berry is a family friend.
He was an old soul. Like I said, he would carry your bags. He would respect the community and respect himself.
It's unclear if the suspect has benefited from bail reform, but UBA says prosecutors and judges need to be harsher on repeat offenders because they say when bodega owners call the police on a suspect, it's a revolving door.
We've experienced they get arrested, the cops do their job, but 3 hours or 4 hours later, they're back in that bodega saying, "What's up?"
Laughing in our face.
"What's up?" They laugh.
Police continue to patrol the area as a memorial grows outside with candles and flowers. and a prayer for his mother.
She can barely stand up on this corner.
The Bodega community is also feeling the pain of this loss.
It could be my son, it could be my brother, it could be anyone. It's the same feeling.
And the United Bodegas of America is asking all 25,000 bodegas across New York City to donate to the GoFundMe campaign to help with rent and other expenses, as the family now navigates life without Nazim, who worked here 7 days a week.
Next, we head to the Bronx, where 3 suspects wanted in connection to a deadly subway shooting are caught.
Police have arrested and charged the suspects in the fatal shooting of a man on board the D train up in the Bronx.
Briella Tomasetti is live in the concourse section with the latest, including the charges these suspects face. Briella, good morning.
Yeah, Tashani and Dan, good morning to both of you. We're learning more at this hour about what actually led to the death of 45-year-old William Alvarez. It was initially thought that he was stabbed to death on that D train, but investigators say the 3 suspects and Alvarez were actually fighting, struggling over a gun when the weapon suddenly went off.
Anything you want to say?
The 3 suspects wanted in connection with last week's deadly attack on board a Manhattan-bound D train are in police custody. 24-year-old Justin Hurd, 38-year-old Betty Cotto, and 42-year-old Alfredo Trinidad are each charged with murder, manslaughter, and criminal possession of a weapon. Police say the suspects were picked up just before noon yesterday at an apartment in the Bronx after the fatal encounter was caught on security camera footage.
This is a homicide investigation. This is as serious as it gets.
According to the NYPD, 45-year-old William Alvarez was sitting on the train early Friday morning when Hurd, Cotto, and Trinidad got on at the Fordham Road station. One of the suspects sat down next to Alvarez and an argument broke out. The dispute turned physical with the 2 others joining in. At some point, a gun went off, killing Alvarez. His death marks the 2nd fatal shooting in the transit system this month. Just 11 days earlier, 1 person was killed and 5 others were injured in a shooting at the Mount Eden station.
Crime was up 45% in January, driven by grand larcenies. We find ourselves arresting people, we'll call them recidivist criminals, that have been arrested over and over again.
Despite those 2 deadly shootings, the city says subway crime is down by more than 17% in February. The NYPD has surged its presence on trains and platforms by up to 1,000 cops a day. Meanwhile, crime and safety were first on the agenda at yesterday's MTA committee meeting.
Here we are in 2024, and we've had 3 murders. People are being slashed. A station agent was assaulted. What is going on in New York City Transit?
The real message should be to the misbehaving ridership that's out there is that we're on this. We're going to stay on it.
The MTA says there have been 6 attacks on transit workers so far this year, resulting in 4 arrests. Now, those 4 people altogether combined had a total of 49 other arrests. The suspects in this case, meanwhile, could be formally charged as early as this morning.
Down in Manhattan, a stabbing at a migrant facility, adding to the calls for more security at the city's shelters.
More violence at the city's migrant shelters, this time at the former Lincoln Correctional Facility in Harlem, where a man was stabbed twice.
All right, Fox 5's Morgan McKay joins us live from the scene of Morgan. This comes as the mayor is calling for changes to the city's sanctuary city law.
You're exactly right, Steve and Natasha. But first, on that stabbing at the migrant shelter here in Harlem, City Hall tells us there are security guards, but no security cameras. However, they are looking at installing additional security measures. They just recently announced that they are installing metal detectors at the migrant shelter on Randall's Island. A 24-year-old man was found stabbed twice on Wednesday at the former Lincoln Correctional Facility, currently serving as a migrant shelter. The NYPD responded to a 911 call at around 11:30 a.m. and found the man stabbed in the back and abdomen. He was taken to Mount Sinai Morningside in stable condition, but the NYPD is still searching for a suspect. On Tuesday, Mayor Eric Adams spoke about other violent incidents at migrant shelters and emphasized how migrants are being forced to sit around all day without the ability to work.
All day, we have men that must sit around all day and can't work.
It's amazing how calm they have been.
Right now, the Adams administration is making a strong push to change one part of the sanctuary city law. In 2014 and 2017, under former Mayor Bill de Blasio, the city council strengthened the existing sanctuary city laws by prohibiting the NYPD from alerting federal immigration officials about a migrant who has been charged with a crime. As it stands right now, the city can only alert ICE if a migrant has been convicted of a crime in certain cases. City Council Speaker Adrian Adams emphasized on Wednesday that they have no plans to make changes to the law.
These are innocent people who are fearful of partaking in community activity because of their status.
But Adams' chief counsel, Lisa Zornberg, says that a 1989 executive order issued by former Mayor Ed Koch already made clear that the city could not alert ICE about migrants who sought city services or were victims of a crime.
That original executive order recognized that people's immigration status is confidential.
Governor Kathy Hochul would not say if she would back Adams' push to make changes to the sanctuary city laws, but said that the state's sanctuary city policies do allow for coordination with ICE.
We do cooperate with federal authorities under our policy.
I also asked City Hall if making changes to the sanctuary city laws is something Mayor Eric Adams can do through executive action, but they said that this is a law passed through the city council, so it's a city council that will have to make the changes.
And finally, police arrest the woman wanted for randomly attacking a Subway musician in Herald Square.
Police have made an arrest in the case of a cellist who was knocked on the head with a water bottle while he performed in the Subway. It happened on the evening of February 13th, was caught on camera. Last night, police say they had arrested a 23-year-old Amira Hunter of Brooklyn and charged her with assault. There's still no word on the possible motive in this attack.
And that's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.